Hello, everybody. I'm Charlayne Woodard, and I'm the author of The Night Watcher. And well, Kelly has just asked me how I got my start in the business. I'd like to start by saying I got the bug in church when I was a little girl. And my grandmother asked me to sing before she died. I thought she was going to die. So I got into the church choir, the junior church choir, the Wilderness Temple Junior Church Choir. And then I asked the director if I could possibly have a solo because grandmama was about to die. It's her dying wish. I was 11 years old. And so Marguerite Johnson gave me a solo. And the day I got up to sing for my grandmother, I thought, this is the first and last time she'll hear me sing, and I better sing from my heart and from my toes because this is it, you know? And I sang that day with our junior church choir. We rocked the church. It was amazing. All of us little kids, all of us felt powerful. Powerful. We moved an audience of adults. And as a result, I had the bug. I was bitten. And I thought, it's nice to stand up in front of a bunch of people, commit from your heart and from your toes, and see them be moved. Then how did I get started in the business? I was in conservatory at the Goodman School of Drama when Vinette Carroll came to she came to be a guest artist. And one day she asked, when we were doing The Crucible, I was playing Abigail, and she said she wanted Abigail to seduce John Proctor while the choir sang a gospel tune called Peace Be Still. And she says, too bad I don't know, there's no one here to teach these people peace be still. I said, oh, I can teach them that. And then I taught them Peace Be Still. You know, crescendos, that song, the master of ocean and earth and sky, they all, it's just major, And she goes, oh, darling, darling, you can sing. So she asked me if I wanted to go to Spoleto, to the festival, the theater festival in Italy. I told her I have to work to go back to school. I have to make money. So she said, well, I'll give you the job of being the ingenue in my musical that's touring America for the summer. Don't bother me, I can't cope. And there I was touring with a bunch of kids all over the country, bus and truck. Very difficult, very much fun for us though. And so I could come to town and have an equity card, be a union professional, and then I could go to all the open calls I wanted to go to, and I did. So that's how I got started. And I also had a mentor, John Veely, in 10th grade. That's what got me into theater. John Veely, he was the English teacher, humanities he taught, and he was the head of the theater club. And he ushered me in to the theater using the Greek tragedies and using the modern writers, Tennessee Williams, O'Neill, all of them. I did This Property is Condemned in high school. I did Antigone in high school. We wrote our own play in high school, all because John Veely knew how to be the Pied Piper. Teachers are so important to our lives. Those teachers that see a little something and scratch it right on out of you. Well, writing changed everything. For 15 years, I could not do anything but musicals. Because I came to town and jumped into those musicals, I came up in a time when it wasn't about the triple threat. You were either a singer, a dancer, or an actor, or a writer. And I was considered a singer, and especially a singer with a whole lot of energy. So nobody would even let me audition for a play in the business for 15 years, until George C. Wolfe did. And that changed things. But what happened is I came to LA to get away from the musicals. So I said, I'll just get a series, it'll be nothing. And so here I was doing sitcoms and commercials, totally different from my life in the theater in New York. And I wasn't satisfied. And I I decided, things fell into place. Magic happened, and I had a theater, and they asked me to, what do you have? I had nothing, but I told them I had a play. I went home, I went through all my journals, and I decided I will just do the first 12 years of a Black girl's life. That's what I'm gonna work with, on my feet, in the theater every day for 5 weeks, and then we will start performances. And I had my friend Stuart K. Robinson as the director and as a third eye. And I told all my friends, I'm talking to the walls, please come and stay and listen to parts of my rehearsal so that I could have someone to talk to. So I literally wrote my first play, Pretty Fire, on my feet and with an audience of friends who dropped into that little dark theater. And the play, I wanted the play, I played all the roles because I wanted to exercise that part of me that I never got paid for. Only in class did people know I could operate without singing. And so that's what I did. And that got me back to New York City. And that got the attention of the theater world because they had no idea that I could actually use words and communicate without singing. And they had no idea that I could write it. And when you do something fresh and new, our theater community pays attention. And they got behind me. And but since then, since I wrote that first play, I have been acting in brilliant writers' plays ever since. They don't even ask me to audition. I cannot tell you when was the last time I auditioned because everybody knows if she can hold down 2 hours by herself, she might do okay in my play. Yes, the writing has totally informed my acting, and 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 my acting informs the writing because when I write, I'm writing for me, just for me, and I'm not thinking of what's my audience and who's gonna like it or anything. When I wrote the Night Watcher, it was because I'd gotten older. I was Auntie Charlayne. I had all these kids. 13 godchildren and nieces and nephews and friends' children that I saw held them the week after they were born. These kids whose homes I would go to after a bad audition and go to their nursery and play and crawl through their tunnels, so they know me as a friend, as a play date. Basically. And what's really great is if you make friends, you can't really help a kid if you don't make friends with them first, because you can't just you can't correct a kid if they don't know you love them. And if you make friends with them, they'll know. They know what love is. And there's that, we never even have to say it. I mean, they say it now. They're all so glib. I love you, Auntie. See you later. Boom. They're like that. But it's great to catch them when they're young and then just grow up with them. They do something for me. Every time I'm with young people, they do something for me. And in The Night Watcher, when I wrote that, I was getting flack from parents and I couldn't really get in with them. The children had 25,000 tasks to do after school and all on the weekends. And so I had to sneak in there where I could Sunday nights, But the role of the auntie in the Black culture is major. It's major. That's a role. If you're not called mom, that's all right, because you'll be called auntie. And everybody respects and loves those aunties. I know I did mine. Actually, yeah, I wrote a story about that. But aunt, to be the auntie is a very fine position, and I am worried. I wrote the Night Watcher because I'm worried that in the structure of the Black family, we're all over the place now. We're not all in one little town like the way it was when I grew up. Everybody's kids are all over, and everyone has to fly in to mommy and daddy's for Thanksgiving. So, you know, the role of the auntie seems to be disappearing as everyone has their own families and takes care of themselves. And this one's in Denver, and this one's in Western Pennsylvania, and this one is in Florida. It's hard to be auntie because these, the aunties and the uncles have families, and we no longer live in our little bubbles. But I wanted to show how you have to make an effort now to be auntie, because we are needed more than ever in this particular world at this particular time. We are all needed. The village is needed. And that's why I wrote The Night Watcher, to shine a light on the fact that we're all needed. And if we support our kids, they will pull themselves up by the bootstrap. They will do it, but not without support. I would like for them to trust themselves. I think in our 2020 reality, I know most of my young people, and when I say young people, I mean people in their 20s and early 30s. They tell me that they're a little lost. And the reason is because of the internet and Facebook and Instagram and all of those blogs. They are looking around, and they are comparing themselves to things like Beyonce, or they're comparing themselves. So it makes, and then you see some idol like Beyonce up on the stage, and she's carrying on, and they say, well, I can't do that. And then they feel like they have no gift. And I would like young people to know, just know it. If you don't know it, no one will ever know it. You are gifted. You are born with certain gifts. Seek to know what they are. And when you know what they are, work on them. Make them bloom. Make them smell good like a rose. Make them as strong as they can be, and get out there and use those gifts to make a contribution to what's going on right now. We have to trust in ourselves. We have to put the blinders on, as my dad used to say. Put your blinders on, run down your lane like the thoroughbred you are, trusting your foundation, trusting your preparation, trusting the work that you put in, trusting the discipline that you put in, and create from yourself. It's an amazing feeling to actually, it empowers you. And that's what I want to say to them. Don't look from side to side. Look inside and do the work. Well, I think if I hadn't gone through the summer of 2020, the spring and summer, and what had happened in this country when we watched a man kill a man, we watched a man die for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It changed me. And here I was stuck in the house. It's COVID time, but I needed to do something about it. I couldn't get out and protest like I normally would. I couldn't do it. I'm at risk. So I decided to teach at USC a class called the Artists in Social Change. It's for the School of Dramatic Arts, to help artists to realize that we have a responsibility to our community and to our world. And it's great for us to create in the now so that when people look back, they'll see work that we've done that tells the story of 2020, which is an amazing story, pandemic, election, and racial unrest, racial inequity. And so then Andrew called and said, can you do the Night Watcher? Now, if this wasn't the summer of 2020, I would have told him no. That I have done my last solo plays. The new play is a 2-character play, and that I would have said, no, it's too much work, to learn that by myself, and then to be asked to do it by yourself. Figure it out. What you did on stage, I take up the whole stage. I just really do. And I'm big. and to condense that energy, focus it, so that it's just right here in that little tiny camera. It means revisiting it, indeed. It means really trying to take it moment to moment in a much more intimate way. I don't know if I passed that test. I haven't seen it yet. And I was so busy doing it. It was difficult. Setting up lights, getting the sound. What am I wearing? At one point, my husband said, that shirt is a mess. I said, too bad, it's going to be a mess. I'm not changing clothes. There were so many things to handle, so many wires on the floor, and my poor little Atticus walking through and getting caught. It was drama. It was a challenge. But I mean, what is life if we don't take on these challenges? We have no story to tell if we don't. I have a story to tell about my husband, Alan Harris, and my first cousin, Elizabeth Warner. We were all, she was craft services and PA and script girl, and he was director and camera B, and it was crazy. It was, to me, impossible. And I said, I'm going to do it. Because as I read it again, I saw that it's a good thing to do at this time, I think it's needed, this kind of work. I don't know. But I had to take it on. And I'm glad I did. I'm excited about tonight. I don't know what it's going to look like or how people take it, but you got to let that go, right? That Ben and Marie story really rang out to me. Yeah, I've got to send her a link. Yes, because she's grown now. Yeah, I have quite a few. I've met quite a few, especially mixed race children who don't know where they belong, don't know where they are. And people make that really difficult by asking, what are you? What are you? What are you? Like, come on now. That's nothing to be asking me when I'm 12 years old. It throws you. It's important for people to know who they are. And it's important for people, I think, who adopt these children who are not in their race to make sure that they have relationships with people that look like them. Make sure that they know about the culture that they come from, as well as the dominant culture that they're living in. Make sure they have access to people who look like them, or they become confused. Theater is all about community. If it's all of our inspiration comes from community, from the people that we're around, the people that we're observing, the interactions, all of that, and to be with like-minded people. That's the power. You know, that's when the conversation becomes very powerful. If everybody is like not just agreeing, but in the same accord. Do you know what I mean? We don't have to agree, but we just have to, we can agree to disagree, but we have to be in the same accord. It's like when I came in New York City, community I took for granted. I had community. I could go into any restaurant and see friends. We could end up on the, at a restaurant across the street. We go over there, have coffee. We're talking. You come back, come to my house. We've created a musical. Pull the rug back, get on the piano. We had community. Upper West Side was full of artists, and we shared. Everybody shared, and everybody worked together. And when I came out here in LA, I had no community. I felt so weird until I went looking for it. And I found it because I found Gordon Davidson and the Mark Taper Forum. And I just jumped into all of their programs and became a resident artist and worked with Luis Alfaro and Che. And oh my goodness, it was just so exciting. In the beginning, when I came out here and Gordon Davidson was running that Mark Taper Forum, and it inspires you, it supports you. You know, when I write a draft of something, I send it to certain friends who are writers. You know, I might send it to LaVan Hawkins. Oh, he's horrible. He sends back the worst notes. But you know what? I want to know, what do you think? I respect you. I respect your work. What do you think? Come on, let's start talking about it. And without that feedback and that conversation, without that support, when things don't go well. I remember when things didn't go well at one point, and a friend of mine who was a director, he said, "Why do you read those reviews?" That was a good question. Why do I read the review? Why am I so hungry for somebody else's opinion and they're not even in my community? So I stopped reading them. I don't read them, you know. But yeah, community, it brings out your humanity. And I think we should be aware of our community so we could think, what can I do? What can I do for us? What can I do for the community? And now it's like, what can I do for our country? What can we do to help out? You know, I think in the theater, I see it as a service organization. You know, that's what I see. We serve it up. We learn so much from young people. First of all, we learn to have joy, to throw our heads back and laugh. Where's the playtime? Where's that play date? Make a play date. Do something to have some self-care. I mean, children do that. Children just get a blanket and go sit in the corner and suck their thumb and go to sleep. It's time. I'm down. You know, children play without going into their heads. They just play with abandon. And that's what I learned from them. You know, when I would leave these auditions that I know I didn't get, that and I wanted to wash it right out of my hair, and I go to my little boy's house that's next door to where I was living, and they had a tunnel, and I'd climb through, and then with Arabella's other baby, I would hold him, and give him a bottle, and all of a sudden, there he was in my arms, needing his nourishment, and I'm giving him his bottle, and he's there giving me his comfort and his love. You know, I also love it when they go off, when they're that go off, that abandon. I also believe we should, you know, everybody's so repressed and everybody's so tight and everything. All of that makes you sick. My grandmother says, when you're happy, be happy. And when you're upset, be upset and let it go. It lasts for about 5 minutes and then you can move on. That's what children do. Children don't hold on to it until the next morning or after coffee, still having an attitude. None of that. I love being around children for that very reason. And young people, my young'uns, I call them, those in the 20s, they are great because they keep Auntie up on it in every way. And as they grow, I grow. And I realize any advice I have for them, I need it for myself. You know, and they correct me at all times. You know, no, no, that's not for you, Auntie. You cannot wear that. Or only you can get away with that, Auntie. Things like that. They teach me about makeup and they teach me about the music and they keep me abreast of this internet thing and how to use all of these little apparati that we have. But it's a very simpatico thing. You know, I think of us as equals. I don't have it on over my youngins, and they don't have it over me. They should come to see this new thing we're doing. We're doing a new thing, theater. To do theater to this computer, to this laptop, to that little dot there that's the camera, to have it's challenging to have all the feelings, all the emotions that you would get being on a stage and sharing the space with all those people that I can see. I have to see in order to share the story with them. And you want to live the story. You don't want to tell the story. You want to live it. I mean, that's the only way you can hold them for that long is if you're living it. And people should come to see this is an experiment. They should come to see, can I have the experience that I had in the theater when I saw it at Primary Stages, 59 East 59th Street? Can I feel some of that joy and that pathos and that crazy? Can I feel it watching on this computer? I mean, I'm curious. I'm very curious. This new thing, this Zooming, and it's all new. It is, I believe, the new normal because you can't stop artists. You can't stop the arts. We have to keep going. We have to keep creating. So this is a new thing, and it is untried and it's testy, cranky, I like to say. I know it was this, I know my part in it was certainly cranky. And us figuring out how can we do it from room to room to room, or should I just sit? Can I just read it? Can I just read it and have it scrolled and read it? And how can I do this? So I think people should come just to see the beginnings of how we're doing things. We're going to get better at this. And I think this is here to stay. I think people are going to have the choice of seeing theater on a screen or theater live. We don't know when we'll be live again. And this is the beginning of us doing it on a screen. So this is all primitive. And we'll look back on this one day and say, whoa, did they not know what they were doing? But you know what? We're going to know because we're going to keep doing it. We're going to meet the challenge and find a way to master theater like this.